Hello students, welcome to the video tutorial of informatics practices for class 11th. Today we'll be discussing the second part of the chapter data handling. As in the previous video tutorials, we have already discussed that what you are having the use of this data handling in this Python and why this data handling is so much important in Python and how we can handle different type of data in Python programming language. Okay, so today we'll be discussing the operators part, and whatever the discussion will be there for today will be around this operators only. Okay, that is which type of operators are used in this Python programming language and how you can use that particular operators in the particular set of programs. Okay, what is their associativity, what is their order, everything. Okay, so without any further delay, let's begin. First topic today is variable internals. Okay, so you know that in even in mathematics also, if you are willing to find out the particular value, you need to start it with a particular variable. Suppose if any numerical problem is there in mathematics, you just take that value as x and conclude all the values according to that x, and finally you find out the value of that x. Okay, so that x is a variable for you, and finally you are having a value for that x in the end of the solution. Okay, similarly in Python programming language or in any other programming language, you must have a variable in which you are going to have some set of values, and that variables will be apprehended with the help of some operators and all, and the conclusions will be derived from that operations, and the variable will be given a value at the end. Okay, so let's see what are the things there in this variable internals. So as we know that Python is an object oriented language, hence it stores any value or any type of data as an object. Okay, so whenever you are talking about any object oriented programming language, that is, it can be Java programming language, it can be Python, it can be .NET, any programming language which is object oriented language, it needs to store the values of any type of data as an object. Okay, so what is this particular object? An object is an entity that has certain type of behavior. Now, what do you mean by this term behavior? Behavior means it has to behave in a certain set of rules, in a certain set of ways. Okay. For example, if you declare an object like pen, okay, so pen should have a certain set of properties or should have a certain set of behaviors. That means you know that whenever you are referring an object as pen, that pen should has a property to write something. Okay, that should physically exist and should be able to write something. Okay, so that is a property of a pen. You cannot means compare anything with the pen. Okay, suppose if you are saying that book, so book is a different type of object, pen is a different type of object. Why? Because book and pen are having different properties. Okay, so you cannot do the work of a pen by the book or the work of the book by the pen. Okay, why? Because both of them are having different characteristics. Okay, so in the real world entries, these are the objects. So in the Python programming language also, or any other programming language also, we need to have some certain set of objects, and that objects are going to have some certain set of behaviors or activities by which they are described. Okay, so in Python programming language, whenever we are going to talk, every Python object has three key attributes. What are these? First one is the type, second one is the value, and third one is the ID. So whenever you are having any object in Python, the object is having its own type. Okay, the object is having its own value, and the object is also having its ID. Type and value you can easily understand. ID means the memory at which that object is being stored. Okay, now see, in this following example, you can see here we have written a is equals to 4. So what we are doing here basically is we have pointed this a to the memory address of 4. Okay, now this a will be treated as a variable, and it is pointing to a number 4. Okay, so when we are going to write type of 4, then it is going to show you the int class. Okay, that means 4 is an integer. Obviously we are knowing that, so we are showing that 4 is an integer, so the type of 4 is class int. Okay, and since we have referred this a with 4, that is a is pointing to the memory address of 4, so the type of a is also class int. Okay, so it is providing you the type of variable a, and the type of variable a here is integer type. Okay, if you would have written some other number like 4.5, then the type of the particular variable will become float. Why? Because 4.5 is a decimal number. Okay, similarly if you would have written a is equals to abc, and abc should be written in the quotes. So if you are writing abc in quotes, that means that abc is a string, and when you will write that type of a, at that time it will display class as string. Why? Because anything which is occupied in that single quotes or the double quotes are considered as the string. Okay, so here we have not given any string, here we have given a number, so the class is integer. Okay, so this is the type. Okay, and when you are going to write print a, that means it is going to print the value of a, so the value of a here is 4. Okay, and when you are going to write id of a, it is going to return you a memory address. So you can say that in this example a is an object, and the type of the object is integer, the value of this object is 4, and the id of this object is this particular entry, that is the physical memory address of this number 4 at which this python has located this. Okay, I think it is clear to you that whenever you are going to talk about the python object, it should have these three key attributes, that is the type, the value, and the id of an object. Okay, let's move further. Let's move on to the operators. What are operators? Operators means any particular entry or any particular symbol which you need to use for triggering up some operations. Okay, let's try to define it properly. When you're going to say operators, the operations being carried out on data are represented by the operators. Okay, so whatever the operation you are going to perform on that particular data sets, that is represented with the help of these operators. The symbols that trigger the operation slash action on data are called operators. Okay, so whatever the action you are going to perform on those data sets, that are shown with the help of these symbols, and these are known as the operators. Okay, and the data on which the operation is carried out, okay, means any set of data you are having and you are performing some set of operations on that data, so that will be referred as operation. Okay, and the objects of the operations are referred to as operands. Now if it is confusing you, let's have an example and let's try to understand this. For example, if we have to add two numbers, for example, let's take the examples as 2 and 3. And if we want to add these two numbers 2 and 3, so we will represent this information as 2 plus 3. Okay. So what this plus here symbolizes, here the operation performed is addition. Okay. Why? Because we have understood it with the help of this symbol plus. Whenever you are going to see this symbol plus between two numbers, that means you have to add them. Okay. And the operation is the addition. That's why we have written here the operation performed is the addition, and the plus symbol, that is this symbol used in this information, is triggering the addition process. Okay, that triggering means it is going to start that operation. Okay, and if this plus is not there in this information, you are not going to get any meaningful result. Why? Because the operators are the symbols which are going to trigger that operation, and if that symbol is only absent, how can you trigger an operation? Okay, so it is important you should have a particular set of instruction here to solve the information. Okay, so here the operation performed is addition, and the plus symbol triggers the addition. Now this plus is considered as the operator here. Okay, why? Because it is going to trigger this operation, so it is the operator, that symbol is the operator, and the numbers, that is 2 and 3, which are to be added, that will be considered as the operands. Okay, so whenever you are going to perform any operation, three things are there. First thing is the operation itself, that is the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, any type of operation. Okay, second thing is the symbol, and the symbol is the operator itself. If you are going to add it, then you are having plus symbol. If you are going to subtract it, then you are going to have a minus symbol. If you are going to multiply it, then you will have a multiplication symbol. Okay, so that are the operators. Okay, and the data on which this operation is occurring, that will be considered as the operands. Okay, so I think it is clear to you. Let's move forward in a further detailed way. Now let's discuss about the operator classification, that what are the different types of operator you are going to use in python programming language. Okay, so here is the classification. First thing is the operators. So among the operators, we are having these set of operators: the arithmetic operator, the relational operator, the identity operator, the logical operator, bitwise operator, and membership operator. Okay, arithmetic operators you have already studied from the class 6th to 7th also. Why? Because everything which is related to the arithmetic means arithmetical calculations. Okay, so that type of arithmetic calculations are performed with these arithmetic operators, and basically we are having two classifications in this arithmetic operators. First is the unary and second is the binary. What is unary? Unary means which is operating over a single operand. Okay, that is, for example, if you written a is equals to 5, then minus of a is equals to minus 5. So this minus a is providing you a value minus 5, and this minus a is operating over a single operand, that is a, and the minus symbol is showing you the operator, that is the unary operator. Okay, similarly if you are going to ask about the binary operators, so the binary operators which will be operating over two operands. Okay, that is 2 plus 3, 2 minus 3, 2 divided by 3, 2 multiplied by 3. Anything which is related to two operands, that will be considered as the binary operators. Okay, similarly you are having the relational operators. The relational operators are going to provide you the set of relations between the data sets. Okay, for example, 2 is less than 3, 5 is less than 7, 9 is greater than 5. Okay, anything which is going to set you the relation between them. Okay, that it can be less than, it can be greater than, it can be equal to, it can be not equal to, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Okay, so all these relations are under this relational operators. Okay, third thing is the identity operators. Identity operators are basically showing you whether it is existing or not existing, it is or not. Okay, for example, if we say a is 5, okay, it can be either true or it can be either false. Okay, or we can say a is not 5, that can also be true or false. Okay, so these type of operations are the identity operators. Next is the logical operators. So in logical operators we are having this and, or, and not. This will be discussing, you will be able to understand it because you have not studied it earlier, I guess, because these are basically showing you the operations between two symbols, that how you can provide the logical circuits between them. These type of circuits are involved in the various microchips, microprocessors, and all these are using these logical gates and the logical symbols only. Okay, so we'll be discussing in detail about these operators. So whatever the operators are there in this Python programming language, it revolves around these sets only. Okay, so basically all the classification is shown here, and now let's understand them one by one with the help of examples. That what are the arithmetic operators, what are the relational operators, what are the identity operators. Okay, with that set of examples, let's see some practical explanations for them. Okay, so for that we are moving to our Python interface, where we are going to use the coding part, and we'll be showing you how to understand it. Okay, now add them, and now we'll move to our Python part. Okay, now here first thing is the arithmetic operators, and among the arithmetic operators you are knowing the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Okay, so for example, if you say a is equals to 5, b equal to 7, and then if we are going to write a plus b, it will provide you a result of 12. That means here this plus is the addition operator. Okay, it is going to trigger the addition operation, and these two operands, this a and b, are showing you that there are total two sets of operands, so that this operation is based over the binary operator. Okay, so plus here is a binary operator. Why? Because it is operating over two operands, and the two operands are a and b. Okay, similarly you can write a minus b. So a minus b will also provide you a result. So here minus is again a binary operator, and it is triggering an operation, so minus is an operator obviously. Okay, you can write a into b, it will still provide you a result. Okay, so all these operations are the arithmetic operations, and is also a part of the binary operators. Okay, now let's see a different part which comes here, that is the float, division, remainder, and exponentiation. These are the new terms for you. Let's try to understand that how they are going to work. For example, if you have written c is equals to 4, and then you have written d is equals to 9. Okay, now suppose if you are going to write d divided by c. Okay, now let's see what is the result. The result is 2.25. Okay, why? Because it has divided 9 by 4 and you have got the result, which is including the fractional part as well. Okay, the decimal part as well. Now if we write something like this, d double slash c, then if you are going to press enter, the output is going to be 2. Why? Because this double slash which you are going to use here is the floor division operator. Floor division operator means it will divide the values first, okay, and it will remove the fractional part, whatever is left in that equation. So what it has done, it has divided d by c. The result was 2.25, so it has removed this part 0.25 from the answer and provided you the result as 2. Similarly, if you want anything else in this example, you can use it. For example, if you want to directly get a result out of this, suppose if you are writing 38 double slash 3, okay, the result is 12. Why? Because it will be some 12 point something and it has removed the fractional part out of the answer, so the answer is 12. Okay, so this type of operator is also a binary operator and it is providing you the result by removing the fractional part from the solution. Okay, so this is the floor division. Now let's discuss about the remainder operator. Remainder, as you are knowing this, that remainder means whenever you are dividing something and you are getting a remainder out of it. Okay, for example, the similar operation 38 divided by 3, when you will divide it, it will go from 12 and then the remainder will be 2 obviously. So let's try to find out how we can get this remainder directly from our operator. So for that, we will write like this: 38, then this operation, that is a percentage symbol here. This percentage symbol is known as the modulus operator. Okay, the modulo operator or the modulus operator, anything you can say to it. Okay, divided by 3, edit the answer, you are getting the answer as 2. Why? Because it has provided you the remainder by dividing it from an integer. Okay, so 12 to 36, the rest of the part is 2, so the remainder is 2 here. Okay, so this percentage symbol is actually the modulo symbol or the modulus symbol. Okay, so whenever you are going to talk about the modulus operation, that means it is going to provide you the remainder. Now this floor division and this modulus operator are very very important for us because it is going to be used at various occasions in the Python programming. Okay, whenever you are going to create some difficult or complex programmings which will involve some bit of calculations, at that time we will be using these operators. Okay, one more operation is there, that is the exponentiation operation. Okay, so for doing that exponentiation, we have an exponentiation operator as well. Okay, that is the power symbol. Okay, you can give it like this. Suppose if you want 2 to the power 3, so for that you have to mention it like this: double stars and then this. Here this star is known as the asterisk. Okay, whenever we are talking about the programming language, we will not refer this as a star, we will be representing it as asterisk. Okay, the name is asterisk here. Okay, so two asterisks are going to show you the power symbol. Okay, so 2 to the power 3 must be 8. So let's see the answer. The answer is 8. Okay, if you want to have anything to address to any particular power, okay, so you have to do this only. For example, if you are writing a is equals to 14, okay, and you want 14 to the power 3, okay, and you have written b is equals to 3. Now you want the result as 14 to the power 3. So what you need to do here, you have to write like this: a and then double stars and then you will write 3. So this will give the value by raising the power to 3 and the answer will be 2744. That is 14 to the power 3 is equivalent to 2744. Now this can be used for taking out the square root also or the cube root also. For example, if you want the square root of 16, it is very easy to get here. Write 16 and then double star, okay, the double asterisk, and then write 0 0.5. 0 0.5 is equals to 1 by 2. So whenever you are taking out the 16 to power 1 by 2, it will going to provide you the square root of 16. So let's see the answer. The answer is 4.0. Okay, so in this way you can say that whatever the task which is related to the modulus or the exponentiation operator or the floor division operator can be performed by these binary operators. Okay, so let's remember the name once again. This is for your division, knowing that this is the floor division. The floor division will remove the fractional part from the answer and it will provide you the integer part only. Okay, this is the modulus operator. Modulus means it is going to provide you the remainder. So you can see 38 modulus 3 is going to give you 2. Okay, this is for the power, or known as the exponentiation operator. So whenever you are going to use double asterisk together, the first value before that asterisk will be the number on which the power is to be raised. The second number which you are going to provide is the actual power which has to be raised. Okay, so it is actually equals to 2 to the power 3. So the answer is 8. Here we have taken out 14 to the power 3. So the answer is 2744. Here we have taken out 16 to the power 1 by 2 or 16 to the power 0.5. So that is the square root of 16. It is providing the value 4.0. Similarly, you can take out the cube root or the fourth root, anything. Okay, so it will make your task much more easier and conventional for Python programming language. Okay, so this was about this particular arithmetic operators, and the arithmetic operators part of binary operators. Okay, also I've talked about the unary operator, so you can check for that also. Suppose if you are writing a is equals to 5, okay, and then you are writing minus of a. Let's see the answer. The answer is minus 5. So what you have used here, you have used a single symbol, that is minus here, and it has provided you a result. So it was operating over a single variable only, a single operand only. So whenever the operation is performed on a single operator, sorry, single operand, so the operator is a unary operator. Okay, so earlier we were having two operands everywhere, so it was the binary operators, and here we have used the single operator only, so single operand only. So the operator used here is a unary operator. Okay, and both these unary operators and binary operators are the parts of the this arithmetic operators. Okay, this was all about the arithmetic operators. Now let's move on to our second part, that is the relational operators. So in relational operators we are using the symbols with the less than or greater than, or we can equate something whether this is equal to this or not. Okay, so for example, let's consider this. We have written a is equals to suppose 3. Okay, a is equals to 3 here, and then press enter. And then you have written b is equals to 13, press enter. Now if you are going to check this, a is less than b. Okay, see the answer is true. Why? Because 3 is less than 13 obviously, so the answer is returning as true. Okay, similarly if you are going to write a is greater than b, it will return as false. Why? Because 3 is not greater than 13, so the result is false. Okay, so that only I have discussed. It will return the result as true or false. Okay, now by using these relational operators you can compare set of strings also. Okay, for example, if you are writing like this, god, okay, let's put it in quotes. Now if you are going to compare it with this capital G O D, now let's see what is going to be the answer here. See, the answer is true. Why? Because for the characters in the strings, if anything which is mentioned in a small characters or small cases are considered to be means of greater ASCII characters. Okay, so here you can see, here you have written small god, you have written capital God. So the comparison is done here, and this is having a greater value, so it has shown true. Okay, now if you want to compare these things, you can compare like this: capital G here, compare it with small g. See, the answer is false. Why? Because the ASCII character code for the small g is greater than capital G, and here you have mentioned the operation as greater than, so this answer is false. Okay. In this way, you can compare certain set of strings also. Okay. So these less than or greater than symbols are going to be very beneficial for you whenever you are going to compare certain set of strings. Okay, so you have to be very careful that how these things are considered, how the rules are going to be implemented over them. Okay, without in details about the rest of the operations also. So I think it is enough for today. So take care, students, and we'll meet in the next video lecture. Thank you.